It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of May 10th, 2002. We got 3 films to look at today, so let's go ahead and jump to it. Let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the erotic thriller Unfaithful from the director of Fatal Attraction and Indecent Proposal. I mean, this is pretty much basically a gender reversal of Fatal Attraction, honestly. Except this time, instead of the guy in the affair, it's the woman now in the affair. As you have the story of a couple living in the suburbs of New York City, the couple played by Richard Gere and Diane Lane, whose marriage goes dangerously awry when Lane indulges in an affair with a stranger played by Olivia Martinez, who we later see as the villain in SWAT, who she encounters by chance. And naturally, they have an affair, and chaos and sometimes some hilarity to some dark, sick, twisted person ensues, but yeah, this is a movie where it's interesting because Adrian Lyne hadn't made a notable erotic thriller since Indecent Proposal, and even then, that wasn't really an erotic thriller. That was the last big success that he had. Of course, he was known for his work with Fatal Attraction, which was surprisingly nominated for Best Picture in 1987, but this is only his 3rd film since then. I mean, he did the infamously bad Lolita with Sharon Stone, but he also did Indecent Proposal, and actually this is his 4th film, because he did Jacob's Ladder too, which I think is probably one of his stronger films overall. With that, next to that, and also Flashdance, I mean, those 2 really are the toppers for me. But Unfaithful proves that the guy still knows what he's doing. This is probably the last great erotic thriller that actually came out, because everyone's trying to create the next Basic Instinct, and not every one of them was a great success, and some of them very rarely made money. I mean, the closest one was Indecent Proposal, coincidentally directed by the same director, like I said. But it works because of the actors. Richard Gere is very good here, but it's really Diane Lane who's really the star of this movie. I mean, she is in control of this movie, and I mean, like, there's a reason why she was nominated for an Academy Award for this, which is surprising to think about, because the movie did not do well, and yet this movie got a Golden Globe nomination, an Oscar nomination, and was nominated for several awards, which really tells you about how well this legacy is held for it. And the scenes in this movie do get pretty intense, and lives up to the term of an erotic thriller. I mean, this is something that I think Adrian Lyne was trying to do with Deep Water not too long ago, and that movie just didn't work because it's a story we've seen done to death. And I think this was the last real time that they could make this work, and make this kind of concept work, because not too long after this, Sharon Stone tried to do it again with Basic Instinct 2, but we all know what happened there. And like I said, some of these scenes can get very, very erotic, and honestly, that's probably the best thing for a movie like this. That really is the big thing that needs to work in an erotic thriller. The sex scenes have to be very unique and very different in order to stand out, and they do a pretty good job of handling this. I mean, to the point where, the head of Fox at the time, Tom Rothman, actually took what was supposed to be the iconic scene in the movie when Diane Lane's recalling her first encounter with Paul, the Olivia Martinez character, as she takes a train home, recalling the first time they ever had sex, and that was a scene that was so captivating that they took that out to all the critic circles, basically, and that was seen by many as the scene that eventually got Lane the nominations that she got for Best Actress at the Oscars and the Golden Globes, it still holds up. This is the type of film that a movie like this should be like. Like, it's really hard to make a movie like this, and even this guy Adrian Lyne tried to prove that again 20 years later with Deep Water. But like I said, that time has passed right now, and it really is you really have to be you have to be able to give us something new and unique to really make this genre come back and swing in the swing of things again. But this was probably the last time this actually was able to work the way it is. I mean, it's not a great movie by any means. It definitely has a lot of flaws in the story department, and you can kind of predict where it's going to go. But the performances really do stick out the most of this, especially Diane Lane, and that's where I really think the movie stands up on its own. Like that, and the sex scenes are actually pretty good. I mean, it's a very solid film. It's not a great film by any means, but it's definitely a film that has more to it than a lot of these erotic thrillers that were trying to capture the success of Basic Instinct kind of failed to do. And this was one of the last ones that really was able to make that work, and I thought it worked pretty well. So I'd recommend it. Maybe as a one-time watch, maybe not one you'd want to watch over and over again, but you get some good performances from the leads in this and some good scenes in there. So that's all I got to say about that one. That's Unfaithful. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, which is the comedy The New Guy. Even though there is an unrated version of this movie, which is slightly better, but I'll get to that in just a second here. But you have here DJ Qualls from Road Trip, who is a high school loser who gets himself expelled so that he can move schools and reinvent himself. Learning how to be a cool former prison inmate played by Eddie Griffin, he renames himself Gil Harris and is quick to make new friends and soon gains respect from jocks and geeks alike. He begins dating the popular girl played by Eliza Dushku and unites a once divided school and also greatly improves its football team. And eventually Gil has to face his demons from his old school when they face each other in a football game. And a strong cast in this movie. I mean, DJ Qualls from Road Trip, but Eliza Dushku, Zooey Deschanel in one of her early film roles, Lyle Lovett, Eddie Griffin, Sonny Mabry, Elena Douglas. There's cameos by a lot of people in here. Vanilla Ice has a really funny cameo in this movie. There are things about this movie that are legitimately funny. They are very, very funny, and they are just. It's that thing I talk about with a lot of movies like this. It's stupid, but it's funny, and maybe not one of the strongest movies overall. Like I said, I think the unrated version is a lot better because they do delve into some more insane situations in here. Like, there's a storyline here where, Dizzy, in the storyline in the uncensored version, Gil Harris, the character that Dizzy basically becomes, murdered a guy in Rhode Island before being sent off to prison. Well, no backstory was ever named for that in the theatrical version, which I think is very, very interesting. And it's a movie that really is... It's not a great movie, but it does have those brief memorable moments of laughter that I got from it, specifically the Vanilla Ice scene. And seeing, Eliza Dushku, Zooey Deschanel in their especially Zooey Deschanel in one of her early film roles. Like I said, it's not a great movie by any means. In fact, you can honestly make the argument that it's a bad movie. I mean, it got panned when it came out, but did pretty well overall when it was with the box office. But I don't know. Do I think DJ Qualls ever could have made it as a star if he ever got more scripts after this? Because I don't think he really did a whole lot more after this, except for The Core and showing up in a couple of TV shows. He was on Breaking Bad. He was on Big Bang Theory. I don't think he's ever been in anything of noteworthiness in terms of movies since then, I think. I'm looking at this thing here. Well, he was in Hustle and Flow. I completely forgot about that. Delta Force, yeah, not very great. He was in the second Road Trip movie. He was in All About Steve, and yeah, those movies probably not memorable movies by any means. But it looks like he's had a good career in television. He's been in stuff like I said, Big Bang Theory, My Name Is Earl, Breaking Bad, Supernatural, Hawaii Five-0, Man in the High Castle. I remember him now from Man in the High Castle. That was actually a great show that was on Amazon. So he has done some stuff here. So maybe he's just moved into television because I think that's a comfort zone for him. But I don't know if he could ever. I don't know if he could have ever made it as a feature film star after Road Trip and The New Guy. But hey, good to see that he's having success in television. But yeah, like I said, nothing too spectacular about this movie. A couple funny moments here and there, but not enough for me to say I'd recommend the film. But because I really don't. But I don't know. I have some fond memories of it. So take that for what you will. So that's The New Guy. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the last one we have here, and that is Ultimate X, the movie. Oh wait, I'm sorry. ESPN's Ultimate X, the movie. Back when Disney was trying their damnedest to keep the extreme from the 90s into the 2000s, because, of course, we had an extremely goofy movie to start the decade off, and then we got this movie here, and so basically this is a documentary about the 2001 X Games featuring athletes like Dave Mirra, Travis Pastrana, Mike Metzger, Bucky Lasik, Brian Deegan, Matt Hoffman. It also features clips from the events in Philly, including the finals between Bergquist and Lasik, which Bob won a first-ever score of 98 in the crash of Carey Hart while he was attempting the first-ever Moto X backflip. Of course, you get Tony Hawk in here because, why not? He's one of the most notable skaters of all time, one of the greatest skaters of all time. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of a skateboarding person. I mean, I only know Tony Hawk mostly because of the fact that he's everywhere, and he has the video games, the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. But for some reason, I wanted to check this movie out when when they were announcing this. I don't know why, just something felt kind of cool about it. And again, maybe it was because of the fact that it was on a large IMAX screen, and like I talked about before with Beauty and the Beast, IMAX was not all over the place like it is right now. I mean. And it was very hard to actually find this movie in a local theater, so that's why I never got around to seeing it in theaters, which I only got to see it on video and DVD when it came out, and I thought it was alright back then. I mean, it was basically delivering what it promises, like here, watch these athletes do these incredible stunts on a big screen, and on IMAX that probably would look cool. On a small screen, still looks nice. It still looks nice overall, but yeah, I was a little bit disappointed I never got to see this on a big screen, because I really feel like this movie would have been perfect to see on a gigantic screen. And like I said, unfortunately, that never really came to be. Something of note about this movie is that this director, Bruce Hendricks, would later actually go on to direct two of the first real movies that would kind of launch us into the digital 3D era that we went to in the late 2000s with the Hannah Montana concert and the Jonas Brothers concert. Both of them, the Hannah Montana one was the first big success of that digital 3D era that really proved to everybody that, hey, there's a lane here for this. I mean, actually, I take that back. It wasn't really the first real success of it, but it was the first idea that, digital 3D really 3D can actually be useful. I mean, there was a couple of other concerts around that time, like U2 3D, and of course we had Beowulf, which had come out a couple months prior to that. But I'm flash forwarding here to 2008 here, but it just goes to show you what this guy has done since this movie's come out. And like I said, it's perfectly serviceable for what it is. I'm not really much of a skateboarding person, but it would have been cool to see these incredible stunts on a big screen if I had the chance to see it in an IMAX theater, but I'm glad I got to see it when I did. It doesn't have that same level of intensity that I think it would have had on the big screen, but like I said, I think it's fine for what it is. Yeah, even for somebody like me who doesn't who doesn't know a lot about skateboarding in particular and these extreme stunts, there's still a lot here to admire about this movie. I think there is a lot of fun aspects to it that does make it work, so I recommend it. Ultimate X the movie. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at the weekend before Memorial Day weekend with two movies. One of the big ones, the big one, obviously, is George Lucas's second installment of this prequel series to Star Wars, Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I'll just say this right now, if you think The Rise of Skywalker or The Last Jedi or anything that Disney has done is the worst Star Wars movie ever made, wait until you get to the next episode, because, man, this movie is still the worst Star Wars movie. I'll talk about why once we get to that one, but we'll talk about that one. We'll also talk about Hugh Grant in About a Boy, featuring a young little Nicholas Hoult, directed by Chris Weitz, who also co-wrote and directed American Pie. Co-directed American Pie, not co-wrote, but About a Boy. We'll take a look at that one. Two movies overall we'll look at on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the plays on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So, with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.